My first time in clinical was exciting, interesting. I was a little nervous, a mix of all the different emotions, and that's completely normal to feel that way. I remember walking in, I had on my Chamberlain scrubs, and you pick a nurse, and it varies where you're going to go. Some went to nursing homes, some went to the hospitals. But really with clinical, I remember just going in, walking in, introducing myself to my patient, and just being really nervous for the first couple minutes. But eventually you get a swing of things. And with clinical, really, it's what you make of it. So if you're gonna sit there and you're gonna complain and say, oh, clinical sucks, or this stinks, or I'm not gonna learn anything interesting, or it's boring, then it is gonna be boring, it is gonna stink, and you're not gonna learn anything interesting. But if you're gonna take it in and say, I'm gonna learn something today, it's gonna be a great day, then it is gonna be a great day and you're gonna learn something. So really just make the most of the clinical, see everything and do everything you can, because that's the only way you're gonna learn.
I was very nervous, and it's one of those situations where you don't really know what to expect, and you haven't had communication with senior citizens in nursing homes. And so I tried being prepared as to the best of my ability, but I definitely made the most out of the experience. And I think that the way you are able to do that is just going in with an open mind.
My first time in clinical was exciting. I never had any previous healthcare experience, so my first time at clinical was my first time in a hospital setting as a nurse. I was nervous, but confident. My instructors were there to support me, help me answer any questions that I had. If I wasn't feeling confident, they were there to give me the support that I needed to help me get through. And it really created a great foundation for the rest of my clinicals and gave me the confidence that I needed to get through the rest of my clinicals.
I was in a nursing home. I had never done anything in the medical field before, and it was very nerve-wracking, which I feel like is pretty much the experience with everybody, but it was very rewarding to be able to sit down and help people. And even though the experience was difficult for me, I think it was a great experience.
For my first time at clinical, I wasn't too nervous. I'd done a lot of medical or medicine work before. It was just interesting because it was a different type of environment, so that was a little just getting adjusted to that, and different students and the teacher and what their expectations were. I think it's different for everybody, so you just kind of have to go in with an open mind and learn from everything that you do.
My first time in clinical, I think it's normal to be nervous. I think everybody's nervous. To this day, I'm graduating in September, and I still feel nervous. You have a patient's life in your hands, so you want to make sure that you are prepared. Make sure you get a good night's rest, you eat breakfast, ask questions, and just never be afraid to share your feelings with your clinical instructor. If you have questions, always ask them. There's no such thing as a wrong question.
I was nervous during my first clinical, but I was prepared. I did a little bit of searching prior to that on what to bring to clinical or what to expect. Before you enter into fundamentals clinical, you have a transition to care ceremony, and the person who spoke as the keynote speaker gave us advice on what we were to expect or what they had during their clinical. That was eye-opening, so that was really nice to know prior to going into clinical.
My first experience in clinical, it was very valuable, especially not having any healthcare experience prior to that. I really went in with a fresh pair of eyes, and also just having that empathy in your heart and being open to learning as much as you can and shadowing the nurses, as well as helping your classmates to be successful and just caring for patients.